Good morning, children. Today we are going to discuss about another important concept, that is magnitude of biodiversity. What is the topic name is magnitude of biodiversity. How where the biodiversity is more and less. What is the reason for more? What is the reason for less? Everything we will be discussed. In the last class, we discussed about genetic diversity, species diversity. In the species diversity, alpha diversity, beta diversity, gamma diversity, community ecosystem diversity, like that we discussed. But in this class, we are going to discuss about magnitude of biodiversity. So first, biodiversity is often quantified. Biodiversity is often quantified as the number of species in a region at a given time. Again, I am repeating, biodiversity is often quantified as the number of species in a region at a given time. The current estimate of different species, on Earth is around, okay, how much? How many species on Earth around right now? Current 8 to 9 million species. The current estimate of different species on Earth is around 8 to 9 million species. However, we really don't know. However, we really don't know the exact magnitude of our natural wealth. We don't know. It's a question mark. So that point you should have to remember. The current estimate of different species on Earth is 8 to 9 million species. This is important. However, we really don't know the exact magnitude of our natural wealth. So this point you should have to remember. We don't know exact magnitude of our natural. This is called the taxonomic impediment. We don't know the exact wealth. That is called taxonomic impediment. What is called taxonomic impediment. This point you should have to remember. So far about 1.5 million species of microorganisms. Again, I am repeating the numbers. 1.5 million species. How many? 1.5 million species. So this point you should have to remember. And estimated is 8 to 9 million. So different species. However, we really don't know the exact magnitude of our natural wealth. The taxonomic impediment, well, that exactly we don't know now. That is called taxonomic impediment. So the taxonomic impediment. So far about 1.5 million species of microorganisms. How many? 1.5 billion, not, it's a million. 1.5 million species of microorganisms, animals and plants have been described. 1.5 million species of microorganisms, animals, plants have been described. Each year about 10 to 15,000 new species. Another neat bit, every year 10 to 15,000 new species, okay, are identified and published worldwide. Every year 10 to 15,000 new species identified and published worldwide. This point also you should have to remember, of which 75%, in this 10 to 15,000 new species, 75% invertebrates. In that, how many invertebrates? 75% are invertebrates. What are the invertebrates? Protozoa, Porifera, Coelenterata, Platyhelminthes, Ascalmenthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata. So 75% are invertebrates. Next, there are the number of undescribed species is undoubtedly much higher. Undescribed species, how many? Much higher. So undescribed species means which one is not described. Compare with the described, undescribed species are always what do you call? Much higher. Undescribed species always what do you call? Much higher. Every year, how many? Come on. Every year, 10 to 15,000. 10 to 15,000 new species identified and published worldwide. 75,000 of invertebrates. In that 10 to 15,000 new species, 75% species are invertebrates. So what this is indicating? The undescribed species undoubtedly much higher. Undescribed species is undoubtedly what is called much higher. Undescribed species is undoubtedly undescribed species are much higher. That point you should have to remember. India is, what about India? Come to India. We are going to discuss about the information about India. India is very rich in terms of biological diversity. India is very rich in terms of biological diversity due to its why rich of biological diversity? Due to unique, what is called unique biogeographical location. Due to its unique biogeographical location, number one, diversified climatic conditions and enormous eco diversity and geodiversity. So very important point. India is in the terms of biodiversity, it's a very rich biological diversity. Okay, India is very rich in terms of biological diversity. Why that much of rich biological diversity in India? Because there is a unique biogeographical location is there. Unique biogeographical location, number one. Diversified climatic conditions, number two. And enormous eco-friendly geodiversity. Enormous eco-friendly geodiversity. So according to world, remember this one, according to world biogeographic classification, according to the world biogeographic classification, according to world biogeographical classification, major, remember this one, major realms. What are those major realms? Number one, the Palearctic and Indo-Malayan. The Palearctic and Indo-Malayan is and three biomes: tropical humid forest, dry forest, warm and semi-deserts. Okay, so like this is important. What is the most important? So India represents two of major realms. What are the major realms? Number one, Palearctic and Indo-Malayan. And three biomes. What are the three biomes? The tropical humid forests, dry forest, warm and semi-deserts. Next, with the only India, all out of 100% world earth, the 2.4% of land only the India occupies. How much? 2.4% land. In that 2.5% land only, the India have how many species? 8% of species. In the sense, you know very well, the percentage accounts for about 92,000 known species are there in India. How many? 92,000 known species are there in India. Even though India very less land, earth, but it having 8% of species means 92,000 known species are there in India. So according to the very important point. So according to the World Biogeographic Classification, India represents two major biomes, Palearctic and Indo-Malayan, and three biomes, tropical humid forest, dry forest, warm and semi-deserts. This point you have to remember. Next, India. Come to is India is the seventh largest country in terms of area. That is a neat bit. India is the seventh, what is called seventh largest country in terms of area. India is the seventh largest country. India is the seventh largest country in terms of area. Okay, that is another neat bit. India has a variety of ecosystems. India is a variety of ecosystems. What is that again? The point? The seventh largest country in terms of area is India. India is the seventh largest country in terms of area. So that point you should remember. Seventh largest country. Next, the India has variety of ecosystems. India has variety of ecosystems. Biomes are called ecosystems, and biomes with its biomes means with biomes with its varied habitats like hills, valleys, plateaus. Hills, varied habitats, different habitats. What are those? Come on, varied habitats. Come on, like hills are there, valleys are there, plateaus are there. Okay, very important things. Seashores are there. Mangroves are there. Estuaries are there. Glaciers are there. Very important thing. Grasslands and river basins are there. Okay, grasslands and river basins also there. Once again, India has a variety of ecosystems, biomes with its varied habitats. What are the habitats? Varied habitats: hills, valleys, plateaus. Hills, valleys, plateaus, seashores, mangroves, estuaries, glaciers, grasslands, rivers are there in a river. What you called very important one is that is the river basins. What you called river basins also there in India. Next, in India, it also reflects different kinds of climates. In India, also have different kinds of climates. Okay, precipitation climates, precipitation, rain and snow, temperature distribution. So different kinds of climates, precipitation, temperature distribution, river flow and soil. Okay, rivers flow and soil also there. This is another important point. Next, different types of soils also there in India. India is one of the 17th. India is one of the 17th mega biodiversity countries. Total how many mega biodiversity countries it seems? 17 biodiversity countries. How many? 17 biodiversity countries. 17 biodiversity countries of the world. In that, there will be India one place. India occupy the only one of the that 17 mega biodiversity countries, and has 10 biogeographic zones. World and has 10 biogeographic zones with characteristic habitat and biota. 70 one of the country in the 17 mega biodiversity countries and 10 biogeographical zones. One of the biogeographical zones out of 10 with characteristic habitats and biota. These points should have to remember. So once again children, the India is the one of the mega biodiversity country and one of the biogeographic zone with the characteristic habitat and biota. Out of 10 India 1. Out of 17 India also 1. That 10. That's 17. So like that there will be information is there about India related to biodiversity. The patterns of biodiversity and distribution. For example, the distribution of plants and animals is not uniform around the world. The distribution of plants and animals not equal around the world organisms. They require different sets of conditions for their temperature, for metabolic and growth. So animals and plants not one particular area, they will be in the different. Am I right? So it is not uniform around the world. The distribution of plants and animals not uniform around the world. Organisms requires different sets of conditions for their what you called optimum. Organisms required different sets of what you called conditions, optimum metabolism and growth. Different conditions require different organisms for what? Optimum metabolism and growth. Within this optimal range habitat, a large number of and type of organisms are like to occur. So good optimum conditions, number of species, large number of habitats will be there. So they will be grow and multiply. The habitat conditions are determined. So habitat conditions are determined by which one? Good habitat, good number of species, right? So habitat conditions are determined by which one? The latitudes and altitudes. The latitudes and altitudes. Latitudes and altitudes means temperature, precipitation, distance from the equator. Okay, distance from the equator, latitudinal gradient, altitude from the sea level. This all will be there. They will be affects the richness of the species in the given habitat. So latitudes and altitudes plays a very vital role for the richness of the species or biodiversity. The most important pattern of biodiversity is latitudinal gradient. Latitudinal gradient in diversity. So there will be poles to equator, the number of changes will be there. That one we will be discuss. Okay, patterns of biodiversity and distribution. The organisms, plants and animals distribution is not equal. Optimum conditions required for the growth of plants and animals or development of new species. So compulsory good optimum conditions are there, organisms will be multiply and grow. So in that latitudes and altitudes are the very important. Temperature, precipitation, distance from the equator, altitude from sea level, this all will be decides the biodiversity. And these gradients, altitude gradients, very useful for the what is called the biodiversity. So about this all the things, latitudes and altitudes, how the pattern of biodiversity distribution, we will be discuss in the tomorrow's class. But here what are the neat bits in this case? So on earth how many? 8 to 9 millions of species. Taxonomic impediment 1 point will be there. 1.5 million species of microorganisms, animals, plants have been described. Every year how many? 10 to 15,000 new species identified and published worldwide. So undescribed species are much higher. So 2.4 warm and what are the major things will be there in India? Major realms: Palearctic, Indo-Malayan, 3 biomes: tropical, humid forests, and warm, dry forest, warm and semi-deserts, and even the land complete at 2% only worldwide. If you see, only India occupied 2.4% land surface. In that, 8% of species are there in our India itself. So like that, the reasons behind the what you call the varieties of species in India. Why? Because well, hills are there, valleys are there, plateaus are there, seashores are there. These are all important. Tomorrow we'll discuss about latitudes and altitudes.